Hello all, my name's Greg Gear. I am doing a video recording for my defense of the best decades, and I chose the 80s and the 90s because, well, I am a child of the 90s and I was born in 86, so I figured that's probably the best year I could have chosen. So I guess I'll start with the 80s and I'll kind of go from there. I'm first going to actually talk about, I guess, one of the weaknesses. I know it's supposed to be defense, but I think I might as well get this out of the way because I don't necessarily consider it a weakness. I think it's a change in the way they thought about how instructional design could be used in the community, and I think it ultimately led to them not going down that route, which is a good thing, and leading towards the use of personal computing as a major form for instructional design. So, like I mentioned, the beginning of the 80s pretty much was kind of the same thing as what was going on in the 70s. So, industry, businesses were kind of thriving, according to Reiser. They were still using instructional design practices quite frequently and a lot. As far as education goes, that's where a lot of the instructional design practices fell through, especially in education, in higher and lower. About a quarter, according to the book, said of higher educational institutes, they dropped their instructional design programs kind of altogether, and there was not much success or much progress made in the public school sector as well. Sounds like a lot of the time they were, coming up with these new pamphlets or these new books for teachers to use, and a lot of them just, I'm assuming, weren't getting used. Okay, so time progresses and you get some new people hitting the field. One of them goes by the name, I'm probably saying it wrong, Robert Ganges. Him and a lot of the cognitive psychologists, I think, wanted to use the principles of that, and we're interested to see how it could affect instructional design. I think in the 80s especially, it's where the community itself kind of found difficulty in going in different directions. I think they were trying to go in separate directions, and the prevailing direction that I think ruled out more so, just being able to look back in time, is definitely the one that went towards the route of personal computing and its effects for instructional design. So moving on, the first IBM PC came out in 1981, and this was made available to the general public. And I'm taking all this information from the slides posted by Professor Lehman. By 96, 10,000 web hosts were created, meaning places where people could go share thoughts, share ideas. And so really what we see here is the very earliest stages of the internet. And not just only the internet, but the idea of computers. The very idea of how we can now even have this class online, where I can get my master's and not actually have to walk through any different classrooms to get it. So my point in arguing these being the best decades is, well, one, we have the invention of the computer, and that has allowed us to kind of warehouse data and manipulate it in ways that have helped make professional lives easier, whether we're talking like Excel or other software, to ways to help just learning. I know for me, with grading and all different types of tasks, it's made things way more efficient. Going forward, 90s also began the shift towards performance improvement. This was a change in past decades. This is where we first start to see the idea of performance outcomes, especially in the business world. This happened, and this is all on Reiser, page 26. We also start to see the beginning of computers as knowledge-based systems for on-the-job and educational aid for improving performance, again, taken from Reiser and Dempsey, that sentence. And it really helps, I think, us see the shift in the intended goals of instructional design. What is it supposed to do at the end? Well, now the idea for the 90s is that it's supposed to improve performance. So The 80s and 90s, I think, started a monumentous trend in coming up first with the personal computer, which led instructional designers in a lot of places to start recognizing the importance of this machine and its effects not only in the industry and business world, but also in education and a lot of the things that it could provide, a lot of the benefits for those individuals, as well as the World Wide Web now, which has progressed to a point where the amount of data and the ease of searching for information has become just enormous. Just the amount of websites now that where you can find just about anything, or you can find groups for just about anyone. So these years, these decades, I think were really the foundation for where we're at today. And without them, I don't think I would be able to sit here, record this information, and then be a part of this class. So I'm thankful for the 80s and 90s. I don't think I'd be around without them. So yeah, that's my defense for 80s and 90s as the best decades for learning, design, and technology.